Alright, hello my friends. My name is Laura Kay, and if you're new here, I'm so glad that you're here, and I hope you decide to like and subscribe. That would be really nice. And maybe leave a comment if you're enjoying this conversation. I do apologize for if you can hear my air conditioner in the back. I am in Houston and it is hot out here, and so I'm gonna keep my AC on while I have this conversation with you. Normally I'm at home, but I just felt really called to come talk to y'all today, and I'm in between some work stuff, but you know, whenever spirit calls you, you gotta go. Or else. No, literally. If you know, you know. So, I was having a conversation with some friends today, and I had a Reiki client as well, and we're just all very on this similar subject, so I just wanted to come in and talk about it a little bit. So a lot of us are in this transitionary phase from our past self to like where we want our future self to be. We're like in the middle. It's funny, we're in the present. Duh. Stay there. But we're all feeling ourselves kind of in this like transitionary phase, and it's like it's getting kind of annoying almost, because we're like, okay, like when's the sorry, my phone just did like a low battery thing, and then I touched it and it spazzed. The low battery is probably a sign of like how depleted it makes you feel, that you are still stuck in these old patterns, but you are now self-aware enough to be able to see it, to be able to be like, I could stop this, but I keep doing the same thing because I'm just used to the comfort zone, to like allowing this shit to keep happening. And it's like, it's really getting to a point, like, especially if you're like an empathic person, which basically like all my friends that I've been talking to today are very empathic, and so that's really who this is like geared towards. But you know, like having like lack of boundaries and allowing people and jobs and like all kinds of things to not treat us what we're worth, and to take from us, and to just like, we start to come to a place of understanding where you realize that like, yeah, I am a victim to that in some ways, but the way I keep saying it in my head, like I'm such a victim, then I can kind of realize that like, wait a second, I am allowing this to happen, and there's nothing wrong with the version of yourself that didn't realize that. There's nothing wrong. They deserve all the grace and all the love because they thought they were doing the right thing, but they were not standing up for you, and they were not standing up for your worth and your truth. And a blue car just drove right past me as I was about to tell you that one of my friends that I had this Reiki session with earlier had a lot of throat chakra blockages, and as soon as I said, do you feel any throat chakra blockages, they started yawning and coughing and like consciously feeling the mucus in the throat. And I was like, yeah, so that's telling you have a throat chakra block. And so seeing that car drive by just now, and I'm looking across the parking lot and I see 2 blue cars. 3 is one of my favorite numbers. They would do that. I'm in a mall parking lot right now. But the throat chakra, it's not only about speaking our truth, but living in our truth. And when you think about that, it makes you realize that the speaking and the action is very much correlated. If I have not been speaking up for myself and standing up for when things aren't working out for me, or maybe I should not go to a certain event but I end up saying yes anyway, or like blah, 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 like all these things, when you speak like that and you speak less than your worth, you're gonna start walking like that. And that's kind of how we may have been kind of conditioned or like taught to live up into this point. And you're starting to come to this level of self-awareness where you're like, no, that is not what future self deserves and what future self wants. And that's amazing and that's beautiful, and we should be moving more towards that future self and standing up for ourselves and using our boundaries and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, so I was looking at, there's a restaurant nearby me, and there's like smoke coming from the roof, and you can see the shadow of the smoke, and so it's like the same thing, but it's like the light and the dark dancing, kind of, it looks like. And it just makes me think about, it's like your dark, like your shadow is becoming really loud. And notice how when I do this movement too, like the smoke, it's like the shadow and the light are making the same movement, but like refracted, like a mirror, and like the reflections of it. And it's like AI. Your shadow is only as smart as your light. And if you have not been nurturing your light and your gifts and the things that make you feel of your highest excitement and of your highest joy, those things... Sorry, I received a text and it moved me for a second. It distracted me for a second. Your shadow is only as smart as your light becomes. You start to realize it's like AI. It's like, as I learn all these healthy tactics in nurturing and loving myself and healing and stuff, sometimes this shadow part gets scarier, but also if you do your shadow work, if you learn how to balance the shadow and the light, you do deep shadow work and you kind of go through your life and you see these shadows and you realize how there is beautiful aspects to even the darkest parts of yourself. And sometimes for a lot of us empathic people, that darkest thing is the fact that we didn't stand up for ourselves, or we didn't show ourselves the love we deserve, or we keep getting stuck in these codependent patterns of like seeking love in other people and all these things that we do. But you look at yourself like the mirror and you go through these experiences and you see it more in a way of like, I had this beautiful heart that like would just keep giving to these people and things, and on a soul spiritual level, they needed to see that. For some reason they needed that, and you were able to provide that beautiful experience for them. And maybe they'll never say anything to you at all, and you don't need that validation, because Spirit's going to give you the validation you need, and you don't need that from anybody else. And maybe you keep on feeding into these superficial connections when you're somebody who is so deep and like... See, I feel out of breath when I say that, and I was talking about the throat chakra. It's like you have so much to say and so many beautiful, valuable words and information, but you keep giving it to the people who don't care or like aren't gonna do anything with it. And so it's like you end up feeling depleted, and it's getting to a place where like those things, the beautiful things and like things that you have to say, you can either put them in spaces like here on social media, where hopefully you'll find people who do resonate and do want to talk about these things and stuff. There will be people who do. Or you put it in your journal or in place. Maybe you start with journaling and then you start putting this stuff more out into the world. You don't have to put it out in the world, but the world wants you to. And as you heal, like we all heal together. And when we have these conversations, you start to realize, like I've been a Reiki practitioner for over a year now, and you start to realize that like every time we have these conversations, they make huge shifts. And speaking of shifts, these conversations like these are allowing us to move into that next transitionary phase, right? When we're talking like so high vibe and we're learning and we're moving through older parts of ourselves, we're able to be more conscious of these healing tools and things in the present moment to help us move towards our future self and what we see for ourselves. And so that's why, like, with tarot reading and stuff, like, I really enjoy readers who also provide like tools on how to get places and things like that, because especially with that, like, there's so many future potentials that we could possibly go towards, and we do have free will, and so sometimes it's not the most accurate if they're not kind of like helping steer you in the right way, in like the most positive direction. But yeah, I was saying like that shadow is only as smart as that light, and so it's more about like coming into deeper knowing of yourself. First of all, yourself is the most important thing, and you need to know who that is, and you need to feel secure in that. And maybe there was a time in your life where you didn't feel secure in that. I felt that, but it's about reevaluating, and you can even realize that even in that time you did know yourself. You just have to dig deep and find that, and as you do, your light starts to expand, and you start to make room for more brightness and for more confidence and positivity and more beauty within your life and more consistent connection with spirit. Of course, we are always consistently connected with spirit, but sometimes there comes, you know, periods of silence where you don't hear it and see it so much, and you feel separated from, and all of that is to bring you back into realization that we are all one and that everything is connected. And I was talking about like our shadow and our light. It's also important for us to balance our masculine and our feminine, and I think I've talked about it a little bit in previous video, but like our masculine is the lower chakras and our feminine is the upper chakras, and we have both energies, and we tend to find ourselves in this culture of like binary thinking where we kind of feel like, oh, like I need this significant other who is like, for me, like a male, to be my masculine and to be the supportive protector and like all this kind of stuff. And like that's beautiful, but also like I learn how to do some of those things for myself, and then I get to attract a man or whoever, whatever person, but I attract a person who maybe leans more towards their masculine, because I would hope to attract that because I am a feminine, but like they would also have some balance in their feminine and wouldn't rely on me for like some of the aspects of femininity or like spirituality and things like that. Like they would have that connection themselves. And so same for you, is like learning how to balance all these things. And I think this time of transition that I'm talking about is a huge time for us to sit back and just allow ourselves to be in this present moment and this time of transition. Like so many seeds are being planted, especially if you're listening to this video right now. Like there's so much in your mind that is shifting, and see, I'm getting hiccups. That's a release, baby. But what I was saying is like, so much of this transition is happening right now, but what is happening, and maybe some of the stuff that I've been explaining might have been going a little bit over your head, but just so you know, like your soul, your spirit, your consciousness needed to hear those things, and you're gonna start seeing more information on these things in the future, and it's gonna start opening it up for you. Sometimes I plant seeds with people and things like that, and I know that's one of my gifts, and I know that like you have been like in your own life, you've been planting a lot of seeds. This is the time that like the roots are growing and like the lower parts are growing, and it's gonna make way for a beautiful flower. I just made myself a flower. For like a beautiful flower to bloom, but it's gonna take some time, and the way to like help that happen is to be present and to be connected with spirit and to ask your guides and your ancestors and spirit to assist you and to show themselves and to help you in the present moment. And when you start to like follow the synchronicities and the angel numbers and you know, the things, the signs, that whatever means something to you, if it means something to you, it means something to you. You go with your intuition, with your instinct. If something causes you to double take, like, follow that, go with it. It's a sign. Like, there's no such thing as coincidences, only divine incidences. You go for that and love yourself in the present moment, dude. Like, love yourself. You deserve it. I think I'm 15 minutes in. I think this is probably the end of the conversation. It's been a while since I posted on here. I'm in the Houston area, and we had Hurricane Beryl. I don't know if I said that at the beginning. We had that hurricane, and I was out of power for days, and it happened right after the 7/7 portal. I actually lost my phone during the 7/7, and then I didn't charge it, and then it was like dead for days during the hurricane. But Spirit was like, you need to be alone. You need to be in your space right now. And it definitely got my mind moving. I was all over the place. It was beautiful. But it kept me kind of away from the world and from putting stuff out on YouTube. So I'm happy to be back. And I'm going to be posting more often soon. And yeah, I appreciate anybody watching, because I feel like you're like an accountability buddy, and we're all in this together, this beautiful life journey. Thank you so much for co-creating this beautiful video with me, because, you know, if it finds you, then hopefully if you're this far, you're still listening, then it was probably meant for you. So thank you so much for sharing this conversation. And if you want to keep the conversation going in the comments, go ahead, I'll be there. Anyway, yeah, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Much love and many blessings. Bye for now.